Good evening. Welcome back to Bible Investigation with the 70 West Church of Christ in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Once again, my name is Tim Tagami, and I will be your host this evening. Let's jump right into our question for this evening. My husband is trying to justify his recent habit of sports gambling. He says that gambling is mentioned in the Bible, and he points to Jonah 1 and Acts chapter 1, where they picked Judas's replacement. Is he correct? In short, no. Lots of things are mentioned in the Bible, including murder, incest, adultery. That doesn't make them right. But let's jump right into some scripture here and go with what we've got. In Jonah chapter 1, they said to one another, "Come, let us cast lots, so we may know for whose cause this trouble has come upon us." So they cast lots, and the lot fell on Jonah. Then they said to him, "Please tell us, for whose cause is this trouble upon us, and what is your occupation? Where did you come from? What is your country? And what people are you?" Now, let's be very clear here that the people with Jonah in the boat are heathens. They are not Christians. They are not of the house of Israel. They are, well, they're heathens. They are not Christians, and they certainly are not following God's will. And we'll talk more about that here in just a moment. Let's jump over to Acts chapter 1. And they cast their lots, and the lot fell on Matthias, and he was numbered with the 11 apostles. So here we see in Acts chapter 1, well, let's look at the whole verse in context. Let's get the whole context here of it. Let's back up to verse 23. And they proposed to Joseph, called Barsabbas, who was surnamed Justus, and Matthias, and they prayed and said, "O Lord, who know the hearts of all, show which of these two you have chosen to take part in this ministry and apostleship, from which Judas by transgression fell, that he might go to his own place." And they cast their lots, and lots fell on Matthias, and he was numbered with the 11 apostles, making number 12, Paul making number 13. Now, these were faithful servants of God at this point. So let's talk about this. What's happening in these two examples? In Jonah, well, first, let's look at the quote-unquote gamble that's being made here and the consequences of it. So a group of men in a boat is sinking. They're in the middle of a storm. They're trying to figure out why the storm is upon them, and they figure it's because one of them has sinned or transgressed. Very common among pagans of the day and age to think that somebody there has done something wrong to cause this catastrophe to fall upon us. So they cast their lots. They fell on Jonah. So if we want to call that gambling, let's look at the consequences. They cast their lots, and Jonah got thrown overboard and swallowed by a big fish. Good consequence to gambling. Acts chapter 1, Judas betrayed Christ, committed suicide. Now they have to replace him. A good path or a good defense for gambling. Now, let's take a very close look at what has transpired. These are not gambling scenarios. They are decision-making scenarios. Nothing was at risk in Jonah. Nobody there had anything at risk. They were not going to lose their livelihood. They were not going to put their financial well-being in jeopardy. They were not going to take food off anybody's table. They're simply trying to figure out who is to blame for the predicament they're in. Acts chapter 1, again, they're in the middle of a decision-making process. Nobody is sacrificing or putting at risk any material goods to come to this conclusion. In fact, let's back up to verse 24, and they prayed. Now, if you pray to God before you go gamble, you are not in a great position. They prayed, "You, O Lord, who know the hearts of all, show which of these two you have chosen to take part in this ministry that Judas abandoned by suicide." And they cast their lots, and they fell on Matthias. Very much like our children do when they do eeny, meeny, miny, moe. It's a decision-making process. It's not a gamble. So to use these verses in defense of gambling is a super stretch, and as the question says, to justify bad behavior that I choose to participate in. Now, we covered a lot of this material last week, I believe, when we were talking about playing the lottery, and nothing has changed. The conversation remains the same around gambling. Jump over to Luke. He who is faithful in what is least is faithful also in much, and he who is unjust in what is least is unjust also in much. Therefore, if you have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, that is, unrighteous money, and he's not saying sinful money here, and this is Christ speaking, not sinful money, but money is of the world. In the next phrase, he speaks specifically about spiritual wealth. Who will commit your trust to the true riches, spiritual wealth? If I can't be trusted to use what God has blessed me in a physical way, how can I be trusted with spiritual things? And that includes salvation. Are you with me? Let's go on. We're going to go back to Luke chapter 12 when the Lord said, who then is faithful and wise is that faithful and wise steward whom his master will make ruler over his household to give them their portion of the food in due season. Blessed is that servant whom his master will find doing when he comes. It's a place that I want to be when the Lord returns, or when I draw my last breath. Gambling, whether it's on a lottery, in a casino, in a sports bar, or online sports betting. This is putting things at risk, my well-being. Now, these arguments will go this direction. Well, if you invest in a 401k or the stock market, you're gambling. No. I invest in my 401k in the stock market because my returns are very good. Is there a risk that I could lose money there? Absolutely. Is it a gamble? No. It is based on education, it's based on expertise, not my expertise, those that manage our money. But we depend on their expertise to eliminate variables that make it a gamble. Now, if I was to be I used to play penny stocks as a day trader. That was a gamble. And I'll be honest with you, I lost more than I made on penny stocks, but it was a couple dollars, and I don't do that anymore because it was a gamble. Think back to the parable of the talents. We had one servant that was given 10 talents, one that was given 5 talents, one that was given 1 talent. The one with the 10 talents went and doubled his through business. The one with the 5 talents went and doubled his through business. The one with the 1 talent buried his in the ground, and he was rebuked and condemned by his master for burying in the ground. The master said, you could have at least given it to the bankers and earned interest on it, but you wouldn't even do that much. Now consider if that master had found him short because he had tried to increase that money through gambling. Now let's go take this money, shoot some craps. We're bound to come out ahead, and I can give the master a big return on his money. And you lose it all. So now not only have you been lazy and slothful, now you've been sinful because you wasted his money. And make no mistake, what we have is a blessing of God, and he expects us to use it in his service to satisfy our needs, not our wants, our needs, and to use the surplus in service to him, to share those blessings with those around us, to promote his kingdom, to give to his church, so on and so forth. Colossians 3, verse 17. Whatever you do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. Can I gamble away my children's next meal? Oh, well, I never gamble more than I can spare. Gambling is addiction. Do a study on the psychological impacts of gambling. Have you ever wondered why every lottery commercial or online sports gambling advertisement has a postscript at the end that says, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800. Is there an addiction there? The government has deemed it important enough to stop the addiction of gambling to require addiction helplines with the advertisements. Is that a place that a child of God belongs? Think about it for a minute. Is there any justification for gambling? Prove all things, Paul writes in the church at Thessalonica. Hold fast that which is good. Abstain from every form of evil. What am I going to tell? So your elder walks in Sunday morning, walks up to the pulpit, says, I'm resigning as one of your elders. I have quit my job. We are selling our house. We won the lottery. We're moving to the Caribbean. What is your opinion of that elder now? Do you trust that he's been a faithful leader to shepherd your soul on its path to heaven? Oh, absolutely not. If it's not good for him, if it's not good for the Lord, it's not good for me. If you have the time, and I would encourage you to take the time, I would encourage you very strongly, scan this QR code. This goes to Apologetics Press and an article that they have on gambling and the lottery. I would encourage you to research it. They take more time than we have allotted here to dig into the biblical truths about gambling and the effects they have not only on the individual that is participating in it from a psychological perspective and from a spiritual perspective, but the larger ramifications for the family and for the community as a whole. There is no community in the world that has legalized gambling that has benefited from it more than it has cost that community in addictions and social help. It's not a place where a Christ follower belongs. Again, we thank you for joining us on Bible Investigation. If you have questions, we encourage you to send them in to the email address there at the bottom of your screen. We will answer them privately with you, and with your permission, we will air them out in this forum, with all things being private, of course. And as always, if you're in the Hot Springs, Arkansas area, we encourage you to join us at the 70 West Church of Christ for worship service. If you live in the Hot Springs area, please come by. We would love to get to know you. We would love to make you part of the 70 West family. You will find us to be an active and growing church family, full of love and compassion for all our members. And again, you can catch us each weeknight at 9 p.m. for Bible Investigation. Each morning of the week, join us at 7 a.m. and 7:07 a.m. for 2 Minutes to a Better Life and 2 Minutes to a Better Family Life. Just a great bit of encouragement to start your day and to make it right with the right mindset, with our minds focused on God as we head into our day. And as always, may the Lord bless you and keep you in all.